Hello everyone, welcome back to Tech with Kobo, where we break down complex IT topics into simple practical lessons. One of the commonest cyber attacks within the digital space is a brute force attack. This is an attack whereby an adversary tries many possible combinations of usernames and passwords in order to gain unauthorized access to a system. This attack can be addressed by implementing the multi-factor authentication, by implementing complex passwords, and then also by using the account lockout policy. Three of them can be implemented side by side to make it difficult for the brute force attack to be successful. So in today's tutorial, we are going to talk about how to implement the account lockout policy on Microsoft operating systems. This policy is one of the simplest and most effective ways to protect against brute force attacks. By the end of this video, you will know how to configure the account lockout settings to add a strong layer of defense to your Microsoft system. So let's get into it. Now, this is my sign-in screen of the Microsoft Windows 10 operating system. So this same policy can be implemented on Microsoft Windows 11 as well. Now, you need the Pro or Enterprise edition of the Microsoft operating system before you can implement this policy, because it is available in Group Policy Editor, and Group Policy Editor is also part of the Pro and Enterprise edition. So when you use Home and the other editions, you are not going to have this policy available within those operating systems. Alright, so we are going to try out the passwords of these two accounts, that is the Tech with Kobo account as well as the Lab account. So the Lab account has a password 1234. So I hit the enter key to log on to the system. The reason is that we need to know the correct passwords of these two accounts, because when we are done with the implementation of the policy, we will come back at the sign-in screen to test it. So we have to know the correct passwords of the account. So I am logged onto the Lab account successfully with the 1234 password. I'm going to sign out and log also into the Tech with Kobo account, which also has the same 1234 as its password. So I click here and then enter 1234. Alright, so I click to log onto the Tech with Kobo account as well. Now, one other thing that you need to take note of is that you have to be signed onto the Microsoft operating system with an administrator account, or an account that has administrative privileges, before you can go ahead to implement this policy. So I'm going to open command prompt to check the account which is logged on, whether it belongs to the admin account, the administrators group, or any other group. Alright, so I press Ctrl Shift plus the escape key to pull up the task manager. I click file, then I click run new task. So here I type CMD, check this box to open command prompt with administrative privileges, and then over here I type net user. So we see all the accounts available on the system. This is the default administrator account, this is the guest account, the WDA account, which are all default accounts, and then the Lab account as well as the Tech with Kobo account that we saw a short while ago. So Tech with Kobo is the account which is logged on. So let me type who am I. So who am I pulls up the name of the account that is logged on. So this name over here is the computer name which you are seeing over here, and the second one here is the account that is signed on. So when I press the Windows key to pull up the start menu, I click here and then I see Tech with Kobo as the account which is logged on. So let's just run a command to check the group that this account belongs to. So net user Tech with Kobo. So here we see administrators group as the group that this account belongs to. So we are using, or we are logged on as an administrator, or we have been logged on with an administrator account. So we are good to go from here. So you can use command prompt or the group policy editor to implement this policy. So I'm going to open the group policy editor first. Later on we will switch to the command prompt. So I'll open run and type gpedit.msc. So I need to be sure that I am using I am using the virtual machine, so I type gpedit.msc and then I hit the enter key. So here in this console, I have the computer management group, and then also I have the user configuration group, computer configuration group and user configuration group. So here under computer configuration, I'll collapse the arrow beside the Windows settings, and then I do the same for the security settings, and then I click account policies. So here under account policy, I double click account lockout policy. So over here you see account lockout duration, which hasn't been set, account lockout threshold, and then allow administrator account lockout and reset account lockout counter. So all of these different policies need to be implemented to effect the account lockout policy. Now the first one is the lockout duration. The lockout duration is how long the system is going to remain logged after a user has provided certain number of incorrect passwords, or has made incorrect attempts for certain number of times. So let's say that you try logging onto the system with an incorrect password for, let's say, 3 times. The system is going to be logged for a certain period of time which has been set by the administrator. So here Microsoft explains all of these things over here for you. And when you come to the lockout threshold, the lockout threshold is the number of times that the number of failed logon attempts that causes a user account to be logged. So when you provide a certain number of times, let's say 3 times, that is the lockout threshold for some number of times, and then the system is going to be logged. So you can be given 2 times, 5 times, 1 time, 3 times, or whatever number of times. And this is also a policy that determines whether the built-in administrator account will be subject to account lockout policy. And then the last one is resetting the account lockout counter. Now what that means is that when you are given a period of, say, 15 minutes for the system to log after you have provided certain number of incorrect passwords, the system is going to remain logged. So the resetting of the counter means that within period 15, maybe you are given 2 attempts or 3 attempts, and you have exhausted all those 3 attempts within that 15 minutes. So you cannot try again. The system is going to be logged for that period of 15 minutes until the 15 minutes is due. So you can only try again after the 15 minutes. So even within that 15 minutes, when you provide the correct password, after providing the incorrect passwords, when you provide the correct password, you are still going to be locked. The system is not going to allow you to gain access. All right, so we are going to use the command prompt to implement the policy, and you are going to see the changes will be effected over here. But if you want to do it in the group policy here, you can just double click them, and then here you enter the number of minutes, but you need to do the threshold first. So if the threshold is set to 0, that is when the user can try as many times as they want. So by default, the Microsoft account lockout threshold is set to 0. So a person can be guessing your password for only God knows how many number of times, because there hasn't been any restriction whatsoever. So they can keep trying and trying and trying until it works out. So when you come here, you can enter, say, 2, and then I click apply, click OK over here, and then click OK, and you see that it has changed it from 0 to 2 invalid logon attempts. So from here, account lockout duration, you can set it to 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatsoever number of minutes or hours that you want. So the longer the better, so you can set all of these things over here. All right, so I'm going to go into command prompt and do the same thing over there. All right, so I'll press Ctrl Shift plus the escape key to pull up the command prompts. So here I type cmd and then check this box. It appears I am inside the host system inside of the VM. All right, so this is the virtual machine. So here I type cls to clear the screen. Now I'll type net account lockout threshold. So the threshold always has to be set first. And then I set the threshold to, let's say, 3, in order for it to be different from what we have in the group policy. So you can see the group policy behind the command prompt. So when the policy is effected, you see the changes over there. So I hit 3 over here. I think that I made a mistake with the command. So I'll come back here. There has to be /. So I hit enter key and it says the command completed successfully. All right, so I'll move on to the next one, which is the account lockout duration. So here I'm going to set the duration to 60 minutes, which is 1 hour. So when you want to set it to hours, you need to convert the minutes within that hours and input it over here. So I am setting the lockout duration to 60 minutes, which means that when the user fails to log onto the system successfully, or provide incorrect passwords for 3 times, or makes 3 attempts and all of them are incorrect, the system is going to be logged for a period of 1 hour. So the last command is going to be lockout window. So the lockout window here will be also as well 60. Now your lockout window, or the time that you are going to use for the counter reset, has to be less or equal the lockout duration. It's very, very important. The reason is that the lockout window or resetting of the counter is going to reset the number of times that you were given to try within that period of time that you set. So when you are given 3 attempts in a period of 15 minutes, you can try it for 3 times. So when the 15 minutes is due, that is when you have another opportunity to try again. All right, that is why it makes a lot of sense to set the lockout window time to 60 minutes, which is equal the lockout duration or less. It shouldn't be more than that. So I hit the enter key to implement the changes. So when I come over here, let me close this one and then open it once again. So when we go there, we will see that the commands that we run in command prompt has also been effected over there in the group policy editor. So we can see here lockout duration 60 minutes, lockout threshold 3 invalid logon attempts, and the reset counter is also 60 minutes. Now when you come to allow administrator account lockout, this one was introduced in some of the most current versions of the Microsoft Windows operating system. So version 22H2 has this feature, but the earlier versions do not have that policy. They have only the duration, the threshold, and the counter. Now what this one means is that when you set it to enable, this security setting determines whether the built-in administrator account is subject to account lockout policy. So you only enable this policy when you have another administrator account on the system. That is a backup admin account on the system. If you do not have a second administrator account, you don't need to leave this one to also be affected by the lockout policy. Otherwise, the system will completely be logged. You, the admin, is not going to have an opportunity or any account to reset all of those policies. Okay, so I'm going to click OK over here. So now we are ready to test the policy. So I'm going to sign out of the system. And then here, I'm going to use the lab account for testing the policy. The reason is that this policy wasn't specific or wasn't implemented for a specific user account on the system. So the command was net accounts, which means that it affects every account on the system. So when I try it on the lab account and the account is logged, I can use the Tech with Kobo account to log onto the system successfully, because that is not the account that the user or the adversary tried using to log onto the system without authorized access or without permission. So here we saw earlier that the password for the lab account was 1234. So I'm going to enter a password over here. So here I am posing as an adversary or as an attacker to gain unauthorized access to the system with this password. So I hit the enter key and it says incorrect. Don't forget that I have 3 attempts to make. So I go again, this time with this password, and I hit the enter key. So I have one last attempt. This time I provide this password. So you can see that all of the passwords that I have entered are different from the 1234. So this is an adversary trying to gain access to this system. So I hit the enter key. So on my 4th attempt, this is me trying for the 4th time. So it says the referenced account is currently logged out and may not be logged onto. So this account has been logged. Even if I reboot the system and try again, this time with the correct password, I am still going to remain logged until the 60 minutes is due. So let's try that one out. So I'm going to reboot the system and then try to log on again, this time with the correct password, and we will see how this policy works. So it's very efficient and important to implement this policy in the workplace, because some of these attacks come from inside. There are certain employees who will just be shoulder surfing on their colleagues to know their credentials and use it to log onto systems to conduct certain financial malfeasance or certain practices in the names of their colleague employees, so that whenever there is an audit, they will not know that they are the actual perpetrators of that crime, but it's rather their colleagues who were into that crime. So here I come to the lab account. This time I provide 1234 and then I hit the enter key. So you can see that the account is still locked. Now when I go back to the Tech with Kobo account and provide the correct password 1234, I am being granted permission to log onto the system because the adversary did not try the attempts by using the Tech with Kobo account. So that is it. You've just configured an account lockout policy that helps safeguard your Windows machine from brute force login attempts. So remember that security is all about layers. This is just one of the many you should implement to keep your systems safe. If you found this tutorial helpful, kindly don't forget to like, to subscribe, and to hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on more cybersecurity tips and tutorials from Tech with Kobo. If you have any questions or you want to see more policy-based configurations, drop a comment below. I would love to hear from you. I would love your feedback to improve on the next video. Thank you for watching and stay secure out there.